Welcome. Get cozy. Get comfortable, Adam.
Get comfy, baby.
Let's
Lean
go.
back.
We are back. Lean back. Get cozy. Have a sip of water.
Sip of water.
Stay
sip of
hydrated.
coffee.
Stay hydrated. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, Instagram. Welcome back, Kick, YouTube, X. We are back for another weekly insider betting episode where we go over whichever UFC card is coming up this weekend. We have UFC 319 pay-per-view in Chicago. Big middleweight bout, Dricus Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev for the middleweight championship. This is a big one, probably the biggest main event we've seen all year. I'm not saying UFC 319 is maybe card of the year yet. Maybe it has the potential to be so. I'd say maybe UFC 314 probably had the best main event and the best main card there so far. But excited for this one nonetheless. It's going to be exciting. And even taking a look at the early prelims, we have some bangers with Brian Battle, Nurzi Lotin, Ruzi Boev, who I'm high on. Edson Barbosa's fighting. We got the prelims. Bobby Green, unfortunately, pulled out, but Chase Hooper's on there, Jessica Andrade, Jared Mushart. Just a lot of big names, even on the prelims of this card. How do you feel about this card? What are your first thoughts about this card? And is this one of the most hyped cards of the year?
First of all, we got James in the chat. What's going on with McGregor? I'm so confused. I don't know what's going on with McGregor. I think he's trying to make a comeback for the White House card, but
so there's been some posts. Fighter roster removed is posting or made a post saying Conor McGregor's been removed from the UFC roster. I haven't made a post about this yet because I don't know if this is fake news or real news. As we all seen, a lot of Conor McGregor training videos have been popping out, and we've seen him get back into the testing pool. We've seen him tested by USADA, so I wouldn't say he's not fighting in the UFC yet. I know that it says he's removed from the roster, but this Conor McGregor we're talking about, if he's going to fight again, it's going to be near the White House card, so us speculating his return, if he's in the UFC, if he's out of the UFC. It looks like he's training, but my focus is on Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus Plessis, man. This card is
You're right.
There's been other news, like we've seen 7-year Paramount Plus deal with the UFC. So they signed for 7 years, 7.7 billion, a billion and 100 million per year is crazy, bro. So they really got a hook.
1.1 billion.
And a vision. They're going to be doing the streaming, the TV side of things, but kind of doesn't affect us because we're up in Canada, so we're still going to have to order our pay-per-views, I think, on Sportsnet Plus, I believe. So
yeah, no, the Paramount deal is massive for the UFC. I've always said that I think that getting rid of the pay-per-view model is going to be the way to go. Obviously, Dana White came out and said he's like, the pay-per-view model is not dead yet, but they'll probably what the UFC will end up doing is they're going to stop trying to like fix up every card to be perfect. They're just going to make cards when fights need to happen. You know, it's going to get things flowing quicker because right now they're like, we got to sell pay-per-views. We're going to make sure that the main event is like always killer and then the rest is like whatever, you know, where now they might just say, you know what, these guys are willing to fight right now. Let's book them sooner. Let's not push them back to a further pay-per-view because now we can have more fights. I also think their viewership is going to go up like statistically because they might not actually have more overall viewers, but they'll have more legal viewers. So like when you look at their numbers on TV, they're going to be higher. So I think it's a massive move for the UFC. Dana said it's going to pay the fighters more, which is kind of dope. Always love to see that because fighter pay has always been an issue. But no, I think it's sick. I think you mentioned that the UFC 314 main event you were more excited about than this main event. I think you're a little high. I think this main event is the best main event in 2025. I think DDP.
I'm talking not. I said the best main event of the year is this main event, UFC 319.
Oh, you said main
the
card. The
best fight card of the year is UFC 314. If you think I'm wrong with that statement, prove me wrong. But that is not what I said. 100%
right. You're 100%. I misheard you. Main event though, this is the best main event in 2025 by all means. DDP is what on like an 8-9 fight win streak in the middleweight division. Then you got Khamzat who's undefeated, and a lot of people think he's gonna win. Few fun fights on the prelims and early prelims. We're gonna switch this up here. Let me 1 second.
Oh, Steph. No, I'm excited for UFC in the next 5 years. That deal is the first step. You know, we're at the beginning of a new audience viewing UFC. and the sport getting taken to an even higher level. I think the response from the fans and Dana White and Joe Rogan and everybody a part of the UFC believes in this new signing, this deal. So let's see what happens come 2026 and what happens with fighter pays. I hope we get to see amazing events still like the Sphere in the White House, and I hope those continue as well in this deal. And the UFC just continues to grow and grow and grow. I think it's been a lot of growth the last decade, and I think this next decade is going to take this sport to an even higher level where it can compete with the soccer, the NFL, the baseball, the other major leagues in sporting. So I'm excited to be dived in and a part of the community.
Yeah, it's sick. Like you're going, like people who are buying the pay-per-views, they're going from having to spend like $80 every single month to see a pay-per-view to just having to spend $8 per month, period. Yeah. Like that makes it so affordable for the casual fan as well. You know, like I think it's sick. And it allows, you're right, it allows them to compete with the big 5 sports leagues. But anyway, enough news talk. Let's get into the UFC 319. Like Cody said, main card or the main event is everything for this event. The rest of the card is kind of okay, kind of not. I don't really care about these early prelims. I think it's kind of funny seeing like an 11th ranked fighter in the women's division on an early prelim. Like you'll never see that in the men's divisions. But
that's true. Good point.
Yeah. Brian Battle versus Nursultan Roziboev. Both of these guys are on win streaks. I think it's going to be a super fun fight. I probably got Nursultan Roziboev winning this one. Is Brian Battle moving up in weight for this one, or has he always been middleweight?
I think he's been fighting at middleweight, but
been fighting at middleweight. But Roziboev is a big boy.
Because I remember he's had some weight cut issues, and I don't know if that's for 185 or welterweight.
Could be. Yeah, I think both of these guys are coming off of wins. You got a submission threat from both of these guys. Very even stats in a sense. Obviously, Brian Battle is much higher volume. Grappling's pretty similar amongst both of these guys, although Roziboev, he doesn't shoot a lot of takedowns, but when he does, he lands them. Takedown defense better for Brian Battle. I probably got Roziboev winning this one. It's a tough pick because Brian Battle is a friend of the show, but the OVEV last names, yeah, man, I can't pick against him.
Yeah, I've been huge on Roziboev as of recently as well. I think he gets better and better every time he gets into the octagon, and he's knocking people out. I love his pace. I think he's going to put Brian Battle. He's going to meet him in the middle. You know, Brian Battle isn't going to be running this whole fight, but he will be trying to get him clinched up against the cage. Brian Battle will show strength and experience in times during this fight. I think over 1.5 rounds. I think decision in this fight. These guys both have heavy hands. They're both going to be looking for big moments. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is also just a boring kind of Israel Adesanya versus Yoel Romero kind of standoff where they're both waiting for their opponent to make the first move. That could also be a stalemate we see in this one. But hopefully it's not. Hopefully it is the banger that I imagine in my head. And I do see this one going the distance. If I were to pick, probably pick Roziboev to just throw more output. Because the way I see him fight is he's just constant. So I'm hoping he implements that, doesn't become slow, doesn't become boring. This fight's one of the first fights of the night. So hopefully they start off this card with a bang.
Yeah, I think that Brian Battle's got to keep the pressure off to be able to beat a guy like Roziboev. Like you see with like these guys, like with such a height disadvantage, like you got to get in there. You know, you can't just pick your shots and pick your moment.
I think he gets in there, but I think he gets in there with the clinch, with the grappling. I don't think he does much with the hands.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't disagree with you
there. I
think
Roziboev will do more with the hands.
Yeah. Next up is Edson Barbosa, Drakkar Close, I guess.
Yeah, it's close.
Honestly, I haven't really looked too much into this fight. I probably have Edson Barbosa. I don't know what the recent form's like. But
so this
I
is
think
catching dubs. Drakkar Close is catching dubs, bro.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
Maybe I got this wrong then.
Caught it. He's coming off and he came off a knock. He did get knocked out in 2024, so maybe not, but he's coming off a win, I believe. He has a knockout in 2023.
No, he's coming off of a knockout loss, but you're right. Before that, he was on a streak.
Damn. That's not good. That is not good.
You're like, never mind. I changed my mind.
Well, it's making me think a bit.
Yeah. You got close in the parlay?
No parlays this week, but
Yeah.
I do think Jakar Close probably has the better shot to win this fight. He's better with the grappling. He's going to be getting those takedowns, I believe, against Barbosa. Barbosa's really good, but man, he is fading. He used to be.
He's old.
Wasn't he a featherweight in his prime? Right. This is at lightweight, so it's went up a bit. The weight he's been more inactive. He hasn't fought in like over a year now, so it's kind of tough to tell where he's at. He does insane conditioning, insane workouts. I follow him. He's an amazing athlete, but the UFC, it's changing. It's evolved. This kind of striking background is not going to carry you into the rankings no more. It's the wrestling that carries you into the rankings, and Jakar Close is way better in that category than Edson Barbosa. So I'd see him winning this one probably by decision, because Barbosa's tough, man.
My only pro for picking Barbosa is that he's the only people he's lost to since 2021 are Lerone Murphy, who's fighting on this card, and Bryce Mitchell. Everyone else he's beaten. So he loses to strong guys, like very high level guys, where he beats kind of people on his level. So, but he's 39, he's getting older. How old's Jakar Close? He can't be that young either. Jakar Close is 37, also a little old. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be an interesting fight.
No, Barbosa's last fight, it was supposed to be booked against Steve Garcia, right? We saw Steve Garcia get in there and win. I think he would have had a better shot against Steve Garcia because he's more on the feet. And if somebody's playing on the feet with Edson Barbosa, you're always at the chance to be at the end of his strikes and to get knocked out. He's very, very good with his kicks. So I just don't think Jakar Close is that kind of fighter. He's not going to stand up with Edson Barbosa. He's going to get him to the ground. He's going to grapple. So that's why I'm edging that fight up.
Yeah. No, I don't hate that.
Similar to this Chase Cooper breakdown in Alexander Hernandez.
Yes, sir.
That's kind of how I'm viewing it here as well. I think Chase Hooper has just got him beat with the grappling. And why stand at range with Alexander Hernandez? I think he has a better reach. It just wouldn't make sense. Hooper's the taller guy, right?
Yeah, Hooper's a taller guy by 4 inches there. But grappling, I'll give Chase Hooper the edge, but Alexander Hernandez is still a very high level wrestler. It looks like he's still able to take the offensive takedowns. He's got he's got better takedown defense. So I think it's actually going to be a pretty close one. It's just that when Chase Hooper lands, he lands heavy. He had 8 takedowns in his last fight against Jim Miller. So it'll be an interesting one. This will probably be for the casual, aka me, a bit of a snoozer.
Probably.
Yeah, just because it's going to be very ground heavy. But I mean, if I'm Chase Hooper, I'd want to mix it up more than if I'm Alexander Hernandez. I think Chase can also keep the distance, land a few shots, and then mix in the takedowns if he wants to. But I still I'm pretty high on Chase Hooper. I think he's a really good prospect. So I'll take Chase Hooper in this matchup.
Yeah, Alexander Hernandez impressed me against Austin Huber. That was his last fight. He defended 12 takedowns, but he's not going to be able to defend 12 takedowns here. It's going to look Damon Jackson was his fight before that, and he looked bigger than Alexander Hernandez. He felt bigger in there, I bet. He got the 3 takedowns out of 7. So I think Chase Hooper is probably going to fight a similar style to Damon Jackson. He's going to have the tape. Alexander Hernandez has been fighting for a minute, so I'm sure he's familiar with his game. He's a good student. He's high IQ. I believe in Chase Hooper. I believe in his prodigy kind of star power, even though that sounds crazy to call Chase Hooper star power, but I do believe he has some potential in there to have big fights. He's beaten Jim Miller. He gets this one done. Get him somebody good next, really good.
I agree.
Get him tested. I don't think he'll be tested as much as he should be in this fight.
No, that's fair game. I agree with you. Next up, you got Jessica Andrade versus Lupi Godinez. Ranked fight on the prelims. Bit of a switch up for the women's card. I think for something like this, both of these fighters are getting a little bit older. Both have been around. I'm probably just going Lupi Godinez because I think she's a little bit more dominant in recent form. People she's lost to recently are pretty high level. She's lost to Mackenzie Dern a couple fights ago. in a pretty close fight, even though it was a unanimous decision. But Mackenzie's been on a bit of a win streak recently. And then the other loss she has is Verna Yandaroba, who's really solid. Meanwhile, Jessica Andrade, she's on a 2-fight losing streak. She only has 2 wins in her last 7 fights. So, yeah, I got Lupi Godinez winning this one, I think.
My heart wants to bet on Jessica Andrade, but my mind and just Poopy Godinez. Yes, I said Poopy and not Loopy. In her last fight, she had diarrhea and still went out there and got the dub. It was in Mexico. A lot of fighters, even Joe Piper, pulled out of that card because of the sickness he was having. But she pulled through.
Too many street tacos, man. It's that street meat that gets you.
She's got the heart of a champion. Okay, if you're fighting through that, you got a heart. You got the will to win. I think she's gonna just have her way with Andrade in a sense, because I don't think she'll be hurt on the feet. She won't allow that to happen. If it gets messy, she'll take her down. Jessica Andrade is kind of big, but Loopy's just, I think, better in the grappling and in those kind of exchanges where they're like not landing takedowns, but they're kind of just grappling and clinched up. I think Loopy will be the one holding the legs and not Andrade. So give me Loopy by decision. I hate betting female fights to go to end by finish. So give me Loopy by decision. I think it's the smart play.
I feel that. Next up, and this might be the last one we break down on this prelims, but Michal Oleksiejczuk's taking on Gerald Meerschaert. Oleksiejczuk's coming off of a win against Dricus Dumas, first round KO, while you got Gerald Meerschaert riding a 2-fight losing streak against Renier de Ridder, RDR, and Brad Tavares. I feel like this is Michal's fight to win. Gerald Meerschaert's getting fucking old, man. Like real old. He's known for his wrestling. I don't know if he'll have as much luck. You can see by the stats here that Michal Oleksiejczuk can hang on the ground as well. And then on the feet, I would give the significant advantage to Oleksiejczuk. So I think Oleksiejczuk should get the win here. I don't really see Gerald Meerschaert doing much here.
I like how you say it on other shows, so I'm going to steal it right here. But I think this one has underdog potential, bro. Gerald Meerschaert has the reach. He has the experience, I believe. And how I saw Michael Oleksiejczuk roast me, I don't care. He lost to Michel Pereira very badly. And Michel Pereira since has been poop. He's been really bad. And I bet on him every time, and he loses every time. I think he's coming off a win, but he's been very disappointing to watch as of recent. We see what Fluffy did to him. But also Fluffy's at the top now. Honestly, we could talk about Fluffy all day. Should get into that before we end the show because that was a dominant performance last weekend. But Gerald Meerschaert, he still is one of those guys. I think this is a point in his career, a position, a good card where he's like, I got to prove myself. I'm going to do it. I'm coming off of 2 losses, kind of like Steve Erceg in his fight against Ode Osborne. I just see him maybe losing the first round and then winning the second too, using his grappling, sticking to a good game plan, and just edging out a decision win here. So if I were to bet this one, I would bet Gerald Meerschaert underdog by decision. I don't think he's going to knock this guy out. Oleksiejczuk is legit. His corner is legit. His training is legit. He is a part of the Fighting Nerds now as well, right? So don't underestimate this guy. I understand why you picked him, but I do think this one has big underdog potential.
Big underdog potential. Moises in the chat. What's going on, bro? I got Corey Sandhagen decision. Merab been looking too confident and not doing enough training.
Who in the right mind is saying Corey Sandhagen's going to win that matchup? Who's actually Corey's going to win that? Not one person, but there is underdog potential in any fight, but not one person I've seen say Corey Sandhagen's going to win that one against Merab. Not one person.
All I'm going to say, Moises, is I don't think Merab needs to train that hard for someone like Corey after what he did to Umar. You know, like I really think that Corey, he's been on a streak. He deserves a title shot. Not champion caliber, in my opinion. I think Merab is an easy lock for that.
I've always thought Sean O'Malley was levels ahead of Corey Sandhagen. So I was always like, this fight, between Merab and Corey is just bound to happen, I guess. But
yeah,
I've always thought Sean was better. I don't know. I want to see them
it's
fight. I think
biased.
Corey loses, and I think they book that fight early next year. Corey versus
Yeah.
Sugar.
I feel you.
Could be a White House fight too.
That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy if it was.
2 Americans, right?
Yeah. Let's see here. 1 second. I'm just organizing my notes.
Getting the main card. This is the main card. Tim Elliott.
Main card, baby.
Main card.
But before we go into the main card, this show would not be possible without our friends at DraftKings. They've been around for about 2 years now. They've been around a lot longer. They've been working with us for about 2 years now, and we love the partnership we have with them. So we have a little message from our friends at DraftKings, and that Cody's going to deliver.
What's up, fight fans? Big news. UFC 319 is finally here. Dricus Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev for the UFC Middleweight Championship, and we partnered up with our friends over at DraftKings to bring you close to all the action. Right now, if you're a new customer, go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. You can sign up using our promo code INSIDEFIGHTING, bet $5 and receive $200 instantly in bonus bets, no matter who you're backing in that main event. Stay in on all the action and use your bonus bets on DraftKings same game parlays for a shot at even bigger payouts by combining multiple bets together from the same game. And if sports betting is unavailable in your state, do not worry, because you can still join in on all the fun using DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports and have the shot to win cash prizes. So go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. New customers who sign up using our promo code INSIDEFIGHTING, bet $5 will receive $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's with our promo code INSIDEFIGHTING, only at DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Let's go. Use code INSIDEFIGHTING, baby.
We love DraftKings.
Shout out DraftKings. We love DK. We love DK. Moise is back in the chat. He goes, we shall see. I know Merab is goated, but you never know. You're right. You never know. But I do think Merab's next level in the division. He's proven it time and time again. I picked Umar against him, man. Was proven very wrong. But he also says, who y'all got for Pereira versus Ankalaev? Cody and I were actually there for, what was it, UFC 313?
Yes, sir.
In Vegas. We saw the fight live. I know Ankalaev, he didn't make Pereira look bad. It's just Pereira didn't look his best in that fight. I do think Pereira is going to get his comeback there. I think he's going to be champion again. I just don't like Ankalaev. Maybe it's bias. I think Pereira is better for the sport. Who's talked about the division since he's lost the belt? Not a single person. So I hope Pereira wins, but it's a little biased for sure.
I love Pereira. I thought he low-key won that first fight. All 3 judges scored the 5th round for Magomed just because of his clinch time. He was scared to strike in the 5th against Pereira. That's my opinion on it. Thought he won. This rematch, though, I don't know how dialed Alex Pereira is. We see Khamzat wanting to go up and maybe fight the winner of Pereira versus Ank next. But I don't think Pereira is going to be on the winning side, bro. I think he's too undialed from the sport right now. And I think when he comes back, he's going to be super heavy. And I think he's going to take a loss here against Ank, maybe even get knocked out, and then go move on to heavyweight, where he'll fight like Cyril Gane as a #1 contender fight again. And then Cyril Gane will be in his 5th title fight because he beat Alex Pereira for a #1 contender fight. It's going to be horrible downfall of Alex Pereira. It's a sad one, but we've just seen it with Israel Adesanya. He was just too active for too long of a short time. Like for 2-3 years, he was the face of the company. And to continue that for another 2, 3, 4 years now, I just don't see how likely that is. And Magomed isn't going to be the face of light heavyweight or the face of anything because we got Khalil Roundtree coming up and we got the Yuri Prohashka back. So I think one of those guys is going to knock Ank down. I don't think it's going to be Pereira. Tough. I know I just gave a whole breakdown on that, but yeah, that's how I've been feeling about it, bro.
Man, that's fair enough. I'll give it to you. Getting into this main card, though, opening it up, we got Tim Elliott taking on Kai Asakura. Tim Elliott's coming off of almost a 2-year layoff. Last time he fought was in December of 2023 against Su Mudarji, where he won by arm triangle. I think that was spot on. Hey,
that was really good.
Banging.
I can't do it.
No, that's a tough one.
It's always
yeah. Tim Elliott, he's tough. He's a high pressure fighter. He chooses his strikes well, and he mixes in a few takedowns every single fight. You can see he averages almost 4 takedowns a fight, which is kind of nuts. And then you got Kai Sakura. He's coming in for only his second fight in the UFC ever. As we all know, but I'll break it down anyway. Flyweight division, a little bit stale. Nobody really wants to watch it. Pantoja's been the champ. He's beaten all the contenders. Some of them he's even beaten twice. So they brought in Kai Sakura from Risen FC, where he's had a lot of success. He's a massive star out there as well. But he got smoked by Pantoja. He was taken down like 3 times, I think, and then he got submitted in the second round. But Asakura, he's a good creative striker. We saw a little glimpse of that against Pantoja, but the fight ended so early. But either way, the biggest question mark with Kai Sakura was, what's his takedown defense like? Obviously not that good. It says 57% on the screen. Obviously, all those stats are from the one fight. But yeah, Pantoja shot a lot of takedowns. He still took him down 3 times and then got the submission. Kai Sakura being a 3-1 favorite in this fight is nuts. He might be the better fighter. He probably is the better fighter, but you only have a sample size against the champion and you still make him a 3-1 favorite. That's crazy. He really hasn't done anything impressive in the UFC yet. Like these odds are based on what he's done in the past, which is in Risen FC, which is like, we don't even take the PFL and Bellator seriously. Like you can't take Risen seriously. And yes, I know Tim Elliott hasn't fought in 2 years, but Kai Sakura's biggest weakness is literally Tim Elliott's biggest advantage. I think Tim Elliott's going to shoot the takedowns. I think he's going to try taking down a bunch. But with all that being said, Tim Elliott is no Alexander Pantoja.
Yeah.
I think a fight like this, I would have liked to see for Kai Sakura's debut. I think making a debut against the champ is kind of nuts. I think this is the type of fight that he wants. It's a lower level fighter. Sure, Tim Elliott's got great takedown offense, which is where Kai Sakura struggles, but I don't think he's going to struggle as much as we saw him struggle against Alexander Pantoja. I actually think we saw glimpses against Pantoja where he actually looked okay in the defense. I think Pantoja is just like really, really good. So I think I got Kai Sakura winning by knockout, but maybe decision. But I like the knockout take. I think that Tim Elliott's just going to be a little slower coming off of a 2-year layoff when he got such a fast, agile guy who's like super creative in the way he strikes with Kai Sakura. Like he's just going to fucking, I don't know, just do something random and land the knockout, I feel like. But yeah
I don't even want to say maybe there's upset potential just because I really don't believe that Tim Elliott's going to win this one. Kai Sakura is just, he is really good. I don't think he deserved the championship title fight, but if you watch his highlights and you're effed up enough, you might believe he deserved that title shot because man that highlight tape is sick. But I'm not the odds makers or the bookmakers. I don't know who match made that fight, but Pantoja probably has the second best back take and rear naked choke in the UFC behind Khamzat Chimaev. He's pound for pound number 4 in the world of fighters. Kai Sakura didn't deserve to go up against this guy. He is really good. He gets a rear naked choke every other. We see what he just did to Car France. You know, he's persistent, resilient to get the back and get the choke. And unfortunately, Kai Sakura, he's been a kickboxer most of his career, and he wasn't ready for that insane pressure and fight style of the UFC. But in his media, he has been talking about how he feels adjusted to the UFC, how he feels like he knows what the UFC strength and the speed of the UFC is like now. He feels more confident. I see him training his ass off. I do believe in Kai Sakura. I do believe he will climb back up the rankings quickly. Tim Elliott is going to be a performance of the night kind of style, put it on the highlight clip performance for Kai Sakura. I do believe that. I'm confident in the Kai Sakura by knockout here. I wouldn't want to bet him decision. I love him to finish. Tim Elliott, I could see him doing a submission as well, really stapling himself as like, yo, I'm here in the UFC. I'm an MMA martial artist. I'm not just a kickboxer. I'm not just this guy. I'm not just a one-off title shot guy. I'm here to stay. So give me Kai Sakura. I think he's going to do something special to kick off the main card.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Moises in the chat. Well said on Kai Sakura. Appreciate it, brother. Yeah, I think Kai's a lock here.
I do
Next
too.
up, we got Jared Cannonier taking on Michael Venom Page, MVP. I'm shocked Jared Cannonier is still fighting. Cannonier is
Hey
coming off
man,
of a
age
win.
is just a number. Yeah, it is weird
You're
to see
right.
that 40 tick up to 41 though. Happy belated to Jared Cannonier whenever that
Yeah,
was.
for real though, for real. You got Jared Cannonier coming off of a win against Gregory Rodriguez, his first win since 2023 that came up against Marvin Vettori. Cannonier's a thick 185er.
Big boy.
He's a big boy. He's a heavy hitter. He's got higher volume than MVP. And he's got decent takedown defense. I don't think he'll need that takedown defense this fight at all. I think it's going to be a very stand-up fight. But then you have MVP, who's riding a massive win over Shara Bullet. I think both of us predicted the win that he'd win against Shara, but
Yes, sir.
a lot of people counted him out. But Shara Bullet is a legit big win for MVP. In that fight and in other fights that he's had in the UFC, he proved that even though he's 38 years old, he still has the speed and agility that he's always had, which is why he was brought over to the UFC. And I think that'll be his biggest advantage against a guy like Cannonier. Cannonier has higher volume than MVP, but he kind of like, he's slow. I don't know. he's a slow, heavy hitter. He's not fast. He's not slick. And he's just a big, tough guy who's tough to put away. But at the end of the day, he's been put away somewhat recently. He's getting older. I think he's getting a little chinny. I'm not 100% sure that we'll see a finish in this fight, although I'd love to see. No, I like Cannonier, so I actually wouldn't want to see him get knocked out. But I think MVP, he's going to use his height, his reach to his advantage, and he'll probably just keep his range, pick his shots, and land a pretty easy decision win.
Yeah, to a few of your points, I definitely agree with. I do like Michael Venom Page by decision. That's where I'm leaning towards this one as well. I do believe Jared Cannonier is durable enough to get to the third, fourth, fifth round. He came back from adversity in that Gregory Rodriguez fight. He was put up against the fence. He was knocked. And he came back from that. So Michael Venom Page could rock him, and he could still come back from that. I'm never going to count out Jared Cannonier because man is dedicated to the sport. He's put so many years into this. You just got to admire him while he's still here. Michael Venom Page is 38 himself. He is older. He is that's what we're not really seeing people talk about. We're still talking about the age of Cannonier going into this one when there's not even that huge of a gap here in age. And these men age like fine wine, let's be honest here. Like I'm going to look clapped when I'm 41 years old. But Jared Cannonier, his fight style is very, I'm going to get in your face and throw a bunch of punches. Michael Venom Page's whole game plan is, I'm not going to let you get in my face and throw any punches. And it's the most frustrating fight style we've ever seen come into the UFC. I think besides like Khabib and the constant wrestlers, I think that this style of striking is very different. And I think he's going to be able to utilize it against the Jared Cannonier, against a few guys that aren't in the top 5 here. So I think Michael Venom Page does win this one by a decision simply by just doing more output. If Jared Cannonier get a hold of him, can get in his face, can land some clinched uppercuts and body shots and knees, that's where I think he could win by a knockout. But that's my two sides to this. I think Jared Cannonier by knockout upset, or I think Michael Venom Page by decision. I'm leaning Michael Venom Page by decision. I feel like that's the better bet. But, man, if Jared Cannonier gets that knockout, am I going to be cheering on my feet, excited as hell? So
100%.
I wouldn't be
100%.
mad at people who bet Jared Cannonier by knockout in this spot. I'm sure you get great odds.
Yeah, we got Moise in the chat saying, I believe it's close, and I'd love to see Cannonier cook for the one time. I agree. I think this fight's like visually is going to be very close because of the fighting style, like you broke it down, Cody. Like MVP is just going to avoid getting hit, and he's going to hit a little bit more. That's why I think it's close. Like MVP hasn't landed more than 43 strikes in a fight in the UFC. Like it's going to be a striking fight, but it's not going to be a lot of hitting, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's just going to be frustrating for Jared Cannonier. He's going to try to get in his face. He's not going to be able to. And you're right. Both of these guys age like fine wine, but MVP just hasn't lost his speed. As soon as MVP loses his speed and his agility, that's where he's cooked, because he doesn't have the strength, he doesn't have the volume, but the speed is what he relies on. So as long as we see that in this fight.
I'm not worried about Jared Cannonier's ability to like continuously walk him down. Like he'll be able to do that for 3 rounds. Like he can do it for 5, but he's going to be slower. He's not going to be as fast as like we saw Fluffy last weekend, who was able to pick Dolidze apart and beat his ass. He's not going to be beating up Michael Venom Page in this one. I don't see him winning the decision. I think his one chance to win is that one uppercut or body shot and just land on top of him when Michael Venom Page gets knocked down and just TKO victory like that. But that's how I see Cannonier winning. But I do see Michael Venom Page just putting on his stylistic performance that he does against everybody. He looks like this prime style bender in there when Israel Adesanya was having performance of the night bonuses. How he did what he did to Shara Bullet and these other guys in the UFC is just incredible. And Jared Cannonier has to be the one getting inside, clinching him up, getting him to the ground. If Cannonier's a big guy, if he could weigh on him and get him to the ground and Michael Venom Page can't stand up, he could win the fight by a decision. But I don't think he's going to be able to do that, to be honest.
Yeah.
No, I like this fight, though, a lot, man. This fight is really good. Really, really good fight.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be entertaining. Just like this one. Feature fight of the night. We have Jeff Neal taking on Carlos Prates. We saw Carlos Prates get handed his first loss in the UFC in his last fight against Ian Gary. He was on a 5-fight knockout streak leading into that fight. But Ian Gary is just on another level of opponents that Carlos Prates has never had to face before. Similarly, Jeff Neal is next up on that list. Carlos Prates hasn't faced somebody of Jeff Neal's caliber either. In that fight against Ian Gary, it's the only time we saw him go past the second round, which is crazy. And Verdict MMA had him losing the first 3 rounds, but then winning the second 2 rounds, which I agree with. He kind of picked it back up. So even though he's a chain smoker and everyone's like cardio, I don't think it's that big of an issue for Carlos Prates, which is going to be somewhat important for this fight, even though it's 3 rounds. Yeah. But when you look at the fight overall, Ian Gary outstruck Carlos Prates 123-63, and he had 4 takedowns to Prates' 0. So pretty one-sided fight on that end. I think that Jeff, he's going to be a good high-volume striker who will keep the pressure up, and his game plan will simply need to be to keep the pressure up. He's going to have to get in Carlos's face, and he's got to stop Carlos Prates from getting into a rhythm with the striking. Overall, I do think that Prates is a better striker. I don't think he's going to have to worry about the grappling threat like he had to worry with Ian Gary, so that's going to let him loosen up a little bit and get into that rhythm. And I think Carlos Prates is going to get back into the groove and get a knockout win.
I like both of these fighters. This fight was supposed to be happening a while back, but then something happened with Jeff Neal to where that fight had to get replaced. Ian Gary steps in. Ian Gary being like ranked, 3rd overall at the time. Prates was like just scraping into the division at the time. So yeah, I don't know why I felt so highly on Carlos Prates against Ian Gary. Ian Gary showed his IQ in that fight. I think Carlos Prates could take a lot from a loss. Like the fighting nerds are so good at analyzing their fights and their performances to where I think he's watched that fight a million times, won't allow himself to get out grappled like that again, especially against the Jeff Neal. Carlos Prates is going to fight like somebody owes him money in this fight, and he owes me money on this fight because he lost me $500 last time I bet on him against Ian Gary. So he's going to fight Jeff Neal like Jeff Neal owes him some fucking money, and he's going to go in there, and he's going to look like Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Dolidze last weekend. He's going to bring the fight. I could even see him getting a pissed off submission because he's just on top of him. Jeff Neal's so tough and just chokes him out or something. I think Carlos Prates is going to put on a dominant performance. I think it's a huge bounce back spot towards him. Nothing against Jeff Neal. I just don't think he's going to be playing gatekeeper here. Let's just say that he's not going to be going up against these top guys, the Michael Moraleses, these guys anymore. I think he's going to be more gatekeeping the division.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. We got Campbell Lawrence in the chat. Who are you picking between MVP versus Jared Cannonier? We just broke it down. We both have MVP winning that fight. We think he's just going to be too fast, too slick for someone like Jared, who's a little bit slower. Jared might land a few shots, but I think he's going to get frustrated and not hit him as much as he wants to hit him. Simple as that.
I have to read Moises' chat in IG. I believe Izzy could have a comeback. I want to believe too, bro. It's going to be really hard. I think he's got to get that Sean Strickland fight booked, but that he's like inactive right now or suspended for his actions on Tough or whatever, or not Tough, some other organization where he stepped in the ring and fought an opponent of his fighter's gym. So it just was all over the place. But he got suspended by the UFC. Probably won't see that fight. Let's see Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. Let's see Paulo Costa get a revenge from that whole incident where Israel Adesanya had his way after the victory. I think that would be a fun fight. But again, I don't know how Izzy does in that one. It would be more striking. That's why I want to see it. Where is Izzy at? But yeah, hopefully Izzy fights before 2026. Where has he been? You know, that would be fun to see him kind of bounce back.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that take. Lerone Murphy taking on Aaron Pico. UFC debut for him. This is the co-main event of the night.
Such a funny picture, such a funny fighter graphic to look at Aaron Pico.
They don't got one on UFC.com yet. He just got like a blank character, so he's got to pull something online. It'll work. So it'll work. I think he looks young in that.
Yeah, he looks young.
Yeah. But anyway, Aaron Pico, he's coming from his PFL debut to make his UFC debut. After dominating during his time in Bellator, where he was 12-14, he's coming to the UFC pretty hot on a 3-5 win streak while being 9-1 in his last 10. This might be the most split fight I've ever seen amongst fans. You have people saying, "Oh, these Bellator prospects aren't anything. This guy's making his debut against someone who's 8-0 in the UFC." And then you have the other guys jumping on the Aaron Pico train because he's the most exciting prospect the UFC has ever signed from Bellator. Yeah. And honestly, I have no clue who to pick here because I don't know much about Aaron Pico. I've seen the hype. I've seen what he's good at. And it's just hard to pick because you haven't seen him fight against high-level fighters, especially someone like Lerone Murphy, who's a very high IQ fighter, scrapes his way to wins every time. Never really like impresses you, but always gets the win somehow. Lerone, he's a calm fighter. He'll withstand the pressure. He'll let the other guy gas out at times and then pick his shots well later into the rounds. He's super well-rounded, and he's proven himself against some pretty high-level guys. He's got wins over Josh Emmett, Dan Ige, Edson Barbosa, who we broke down earlier on this card. So he's really solid. But then you got Aaron Pico, who's exactly the type of fighter who can beat someone like Lerone Murphy. He's high pressure. He's going to go for the takedowns. And I think that could be a problem for Lerone Murphy. The question is go too hot, too quick, and gas out, right? I think the issue is, like I said, we've obviously haven't seen him fight against high-level guys like Lerone Murphy, which makes him a very scary pick, in my opinion. So I'm going with Lerone Murphy. I think it's a little bit of a Kaya Sakura situation, like we broke down earlier, where they're tossing Aaron Pico into deep waters before letting him build up in the UFC. So I think what will happen is he'll probably pick up a loss here, and then they'll give him a fight that makes a little bit more sense, like they did with Kaya Sakura, let him get on a bit of a win streak, and then build him up from there. He's still super young. He's only 28 years old, so he's still got a lot of potential in the UFC. I just think it's like you're fighting the 6th best guy in the division on your debut, and you haven't fought anyone in like the top 30, bro. Like, you know, like it's a big jump up, and sure, you're good, but like how good? You're only as good as the best guy you faced, you know?
Yeah, and I think his last guy that he faced was a 38-year-old in PFL. Yeah. So, I mean, let's see this comment first. The dudes in Bellator Aaron Pico fought are all wax. I just watched them. They made Aaron Pico look so good. That's the thing. If you're betting Aaron Pico in the spot, you're betting him just off his potential, off the fact that he's been training with Khamzat Chimaev, that he has good wrestling, that he's able to take fighters down. You're betting off his potential. You're saying, oh, I could see this guy being next to fight Alexander Volkanovski. He could be fun. We've seen this time and time again, guys. We've seen Pitbull fight Yair. Everyone's saying, oh, if he wins this, he gets a title shot with Volk. oh, if Aaron Pico wins here, he gets a title shot. This guy needs to prove himself. LaRon Murphy is a great test. I'm not so back and forth on this one. I am leaning towards LaRon Murphy. I don't think Aaron Pico is going to show this new level of Khamzat, Alexander Pantoja kind of dominance on the ground to where he could just take LaRon Murphy down in the first 15 seconds and take his back and choke him out. That is just unrealistic to me. I get you watch this highlight tape. I get that he's done these kind of wins against other people, but not against a UFC level guy like LaRon Murphy, who I was not so impressed with his performances in his last fight, but against Josh Emmett went 5 rounds, showed that he had a chin. Against Edson Barbosa showed that he had a great chin in that fight as well and could do the output of somebody just like Edson Barbosa. Aaron Pico is not like these fighters that he's fought in the UFC. Aaron Pico overhyped. Aaron Pico going to crush all these parlays. Aaron Pico PFL. Aaron Pico Bellator. Aaron Pico not UFC level.
Yeah. We got Rogue in the chat. He's back, baby. Let's go. It's been a minute. Rogue jumped in here and he said that this should be a 5-round fight, too high level for 3 rounds. 100% agree. But then you're like doubling down on like, I'm going to give Aaron Pico a tough first fight and I'm going to make it 5 rounds. Kind of tough. The only reason I'm like,
I see that edging for Aaron Pico, because if he could get him down in the second, third round and just lay on him, that he'll win the fight, right?
Yeah, I just the reason, and you said that like you're pretty hot on LaRon Murphy here. Like the only reason I'm not hotter on LaRon Murphy is because I don't like him overall that much. Like I don't think he's gonna be the champ. And so that's why it makes this fight a tough one to pick for me. I just think we haven't seen Aaron Pico prove himself yet, so you got to go with LaRon.
And you think Pico, with his style, could maybe be possible to like fight a Movzar,
100%,
Evloev, and make that competitive and go fight for the title kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't see. Let me pull up the rankings here. I don't think I see LaRon Murphy.
I don't know if I'd pick LaRon Murphy over Movzar Evloev, but I'd definitely pick him against Aaron Pico. Maybe just because I don't trust that Pico is going to have the level of endurance and persistence and pressure and power and strength that people are saying that he has. And I think LaRon Murphy's already tested that. He's tested that he could output more than his fighter to win a fight. He could defend takedowns to win a fight. He could come back from adversity to win a fight. He could dominate a fight. So, I mean, his chin's definitely there. I don't see Aaron Pico being any problems of like an Aaron Pico knockout finish or anything. So I'm leaning LaRon Murphy here. I think he gets done by decision.
Yeah, you're right. It is funny. Like Aaron Pico versus Evloev does seem like it'd be like almost like a closer fight than this one, even though this one, like, I don't think LaRon wins this easily by any chance. I just think that LaRon has what Evloev does not have, and that's like an advantage over Pico, like a very clear advantage in the striking over Pico, you know, where Evloev and Pico, you know, is going to be like a wrestling match there. So,
and I hate like to Patchy Mix when he debuted, but who do you go up against? Mario Batista. And Mario Batista, they didn't even go to the ground. He didn't even shoot one takedown. What if Aaron Pico gets scared and doesn't even try? He's just, the level is too high for him. I think that can happen. I think that can happen.
Main event of the evening. DDP is taking on Khamzat Chimaev. We said it when we started this live. This is for sure the best main event of 2025. I think there's no question about that. You got DDP, who's just a super weird fighter. He just feels sloppy every time he steps in the octagon. And there are literally clips of DDP watching people breaking down his fight, saying that he's setting up certain shots. And then DDP's like, nah, man, I'm going, you know? Like, and so he's got, the game plan is to almost like not have a game plan. LaRon would show there's levels to this 100%.
I think so, brother.
But then you have Khamzat Chimaev, a guy who's basically ran through every single person he's faced against in the UFC, except for Kamaru Usman, which is a bit of a closer fight. And it's a little bit weird because I guess he wasn't prepping for Kamaru Usman because Kamaru was on short notice, but like you'd assume Kamaru Usman would gas out. We saw the exact opposite. So this is another fight that I really don't feel good about picking either fighter. I'm so 50-50. It drives me nuts. We've been talking about this fight all week. We've been talking about DDP being like a really like this fight should be closer than the odds are saying it should be. I think that when you watch these guys fight, like Khamzat Chimaev is just like the more skilled fighter overall. If this was like a 1-round fight, you got to go with Khamzat. You know, the only question mark comes with the cardio. He had his whole COVID thing. He said himself like that his cardio doesn't feel the same, but it's probably all he's been working on is the cardio. The Kamaru Usman fight really threw a wrench in like my perception of Khamzat Chimaev because he looked so beatable. But then you have DDP. Whenever I pick a fight for him, there's always seems to be a new reason to pick against him, but he just keeps winning. I want DDP to win. I want him to win so bad. I think it's so much better for the UFC. I think it's better for the division to have DDP win. He's an active fighter. I think he's actually got star power now. Like I think he's just like people like connect with him. People enjoy watching him fight. I do think DDP would be the better winner. But I'm going with Khamzat Chimaev. I think that Khamzat's going to win. I don't feel good about it. I just think, again, he's just a better fighter, skill for skill. The only question mark is cardio. And so I got to go with Khamzat. But I would be way happier if DDP wins. Like, I want to be wrong.
Yeah. I believe they're both marketable. Like, if they're both for champion status, like Dricus
for sure. Khamzat doesn't fight.
Yeah, he's 2 for 3 on making his opponents cry in the press conference. Press conference is coming up at 4 right after this, so I might be tuned in for that. I've been back. Yeah, I don't even know where to start with this one. Like, I've been back and forth. There's people I've told that I think Khamzat's going to win. There's people I've told that I've told them to pick DDP in this one. Like, I've been so back and forth on who I think. Yeah. Let's read Rogue's comment first before I get into my analysis here. He says, I think Chimaev comes out fast, but Plessis manages striking range better and will have more volume with the leg kicks and eventually hurt Chimaev when he gets frustrated. Khamzat survives, though. My opinion on this fight. Well, do I start with who I'd like to see win or how I think the fight's going to go? Every analyst, every reporter, everybody everywhere is saying Khamzat Chimaev in the first, second round, and he's going to win by sub or finish in the first, second round. If it goes past the second round into the third, fourth, and fifth, that's when Dricus is going to show his championship experience and win a decision. I haven't seen anybody predict other than that breakdown right there. Dricus du Plessis is going on media saying he's going to win by accident. He's going to have a hole in the middle of the octagon. He's going to have another Dricus du Plessis that he's going to tag team in. He's going to have a blown up thumb. And just the stuff he says is honestly not entertaining from a champion. It's kind of annoying, honestly. But he gets off being annoying as kind of his character now. I like both fighters. I'm 50-50 as well. But the reason I'm going to pick Khamzat Chimaev to win this fight is because his potential as champion. There's so much going on in this middleweight division. I think Khamzat wins the title, goes down to fight the winner of Islam Makhachev versus JDM. Book that at the White House. Could you imagine Islam Makhachev versus Khamzat? Wouldn't really make sense. They're not American fighters, but that would be insane at the White House. So Khamzat Chimaev versus Islam Makhachev. And then Dricus, he'll fight for an interim title against Kyle Bahia or Nazim Imavov. And there's still people who could compete in that division. Whether Khamzat wants to go up and fight Pereira if he wins or go down and fight Islam Makhachev, I think there's a big opportunity for Khamzat to headline one of the most exciting cards ever in the UFC, and that could be him fighting for double champ status against Islam Makhachev, pound for pound #1, who just won a double champ status with 170. I could see that fight. I could see that happening. I was a hater about that whole take before breaking it down really and sitting on that take. I was like, if Khamzat wins the title, he has to fight another middleweight. They won't allow him to drop down or go up a division. But I think because his star power aligned with these other fighters' star power, aligned with the Paramount Plus deal, I think they make those super fights happen now because egos and numbers, that won't get in the way. They're just going to offer these fighters 2 numbers and they're going to accept it. I think Khamzat is going to win here. I think he wins by finish. I don't think it goes a whole 25 minutes. I don't think he ragdolls him in the first and the second, but I could see a later fourth, third round knockout or submission from Khamzat. Pressure builds diamonds. This guy's been in the pressure for a while now. So is Dricus du Plessis. That's kind of where he's at, 4 title defenses in a row. But Khamzat just runs a different pace than Israel Adesanya. He runs a different pace than Sean Strickland. He's going to be all over you from the start of the bell to the last. I'd like to believe in Dricus to do the same, but I think he's going to be the one more on his back foot, more defending the takedowns, more in defense, and that's going to put him open to some big shots. I think Khamzat hurts him. I think DDP gets dropped in this fight. We're all going to be amazed. Khamzat Chimaev and new. And what's next? I don't know what's next, but whatever it is, Khamzat being the face of the UFC, I'm down for it. A lot of people hate on that. Dean Thomas even gave his thing, this is horrible for the UFC if Khamzat Chimaev wins. I totally disagree. So much opportunity with Khamzat. One of the most marketable, favorable fighters in the UFC that the UFC's ever seen, hands down. I don't think he's at GOAT status potential yet, but with a win here and fighting somebody great like Islam Makhachev or Alex Pereira, or even a title defense, it will cement him. And I do think he is on that road to where he could be talked about as one of the greatest of all time. He isn't now, but I do see the vision. So give me Khamzat Chimaev. Sorry, DDP. It's been a fun ride. But since like Israel Adesanya had a hurt, and Israel Adesanya I thought was going to win that fight, he should have lost the belt there. Went on to beat Sean Strickland and Izzy, and now I think it's over with. I think Khamzat's going to show his dominance. I love it. I love this fight. Fight of the year. Khamzat Chimaev, fighter of the year. Let's see what he does in 2026, but he could be, if he stays at the top, if he wins a double champ status, if he defends the belt, he could be one of the greatest of all time in the next year. It starts here. Give me Khamzat Chimaev by finish. I like him winning by finish.
Whew. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I think the only thing I disagree with you is that with the only reason Khamzat being champ would be a bad thing for the UFC is that he's pulled out of too many fights and that he doesn't fight as consistently as DDP. That's the only negative thing. Everything else is positive. He'll be the more entertaining fighter. He just has more entertaining fights, period. You know, like that's who Khamzat is versus DDP. So be an interesting fight. But we're gonna wrap up here because the press conference is happening in 3 minutes here. We go live every single Thursday, 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to break down the fights that are happening that Saturday night. Cody goes live every single Saturday. He has a watch party. If you're watching alone, you're not alone anymore. Join Cody. And after this, we got Insider Picks coming out, right?
Yes, sir.
With Mike Owens. He's our head reporter. He does the most interviews out of every single UFC analyst out there.
I believe he has a different opinion than us, so I recommend going to check that one out.
I do think he's picking DDP. He's been saying that all week, so we'll see what happens there. But as always, we appreciate y'all tuning in, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace, guys.